So that equality is essential for research. Now, the weakness of this design is it does not permit the to test the equality of the group, because you are randomly choosing subjects, you're just assigning them for the experiment. So that is what it says. And finally, it may be leading to an ambiguity. There won't be any clarity to your outcome. So the interpretation will be faulty only. So that is the drawback of this method, this design. So that is why you actually go to something called factorial design. Madam, next slide. So factorial design is actually also, people, I'm not able to record actually. I tried recording, but if someone else can record, it'll be useful. Otherwise, I'll just continue.
Rami is recording, sir. Rami Shekhar. You can continue the
Okay,
class.
okay, fine. So factorial design, yeah. See, I'll quickly touch upon the core concept. That is, why factorial design? Especially when you are going for a more complex real-life study, where you need to assess many independent variables in a single study. This factorial design comes which actually investigates two or more independent variables in all possible combinations. So the variables which are being assigned, which are being studied, are called as subject variables. And see, the study can be between the subjects or sometimes even among the subjects. So it leads to a multitude of options. This factorial design actually leads to a multitude of options. Again, factorial study is again from mathematics. The basics are derived from maths only. Okay, so madam, next slide. Yeah, I've already told. This example is given in our text also in page number 196, wherein see, they are giving a couple of definitions in page 195. They are giving a couple of definitions where they are talking about what a factorial design means, what is a factorial network for factorial experiments, all these things. Don't go into all this, because our as told by our faculty already, if you go into the deep, you'll be wasting your time. Just quickly understand the concept and try to answer for the questions. That's all. So I hope in maths you might have read about factorials and matrix. It is very much similar. That is the row. Understand from the angle of an Excel sheet, no, rows and columns. Let's say the columns are your independent variables and rows are your the purposes for which you study. So all the possible combinations you are going to study. This is going about a matrix for a factorial design. I hope I'm clear here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this example actually in our text also they speak about the anxiety level, different age groups, high and low. So you finally arrive at a conclusion and interpret and try to develop it or improve the conditions. Next slide, madam. No, actually they've straight away gone through the advantages. Okay. Before that, I wanted to say about the types of factorial designs. Madam, go for the next slide. 2 or 3 thereafter. No, before. So I'll just quickly read about the types of some factorial designs. See, actually, when you study between the subjects, that is, each separate group in page, you can refer this in page number 198. That is, you assign a particular group for a particular study of a particular character. So what happens? All the subjects will have the character, and that can be studied. And within subjects also, that is, See, for example, A, B, C, they may be of different characters. They may be of different backgrounds, but that can also be studied in the matrix form of that is factorial form of study. So these are the two types that is spoken about in page number 198. And experimental and quasi-experimental strategies, you can just read that. It is not asked in any of our question papers. You can just go through for knowledge purpose. And finally, you have our advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, I'll quickly run down. It is more efficient. In a single shot, you can actually combine several independent variables, combine several outcomes. Everything can be studied in a single shot. But of course, the subject should be properly chosen. It should not be randomly chosen. It should be properly chosen based upon our requirement. So it is a more efficient economical form of study. And factorial decisions generally give about greater generalization of our results, as our subjects are wide across wide ranges, different degrees, and the final outcome of our study will be comprehensive, and it will be applicable to a larger group also. And in future, when you are going to manipulate several variables at a single instance, in single shot, you are going to manipulate several variables in study. That is also possible here. So generalization is a big plus for this of this design. Next slide, madam. And then interaction, you can actually combine two or three independent variables and then go about your study. So this factorial design will be useful for our in our practicals also. I think in our fourth sem we'll be using this. Then the primary advantage, of course, it allows variety of combinations, and it combines different influencing behaviors, and you can go about your study. And also, see, for example, in a given experiment, when you are going to only study two independent variables and you're going to research the outcome, what happens? Replication may not arise in a normal experiment, whereas in a factorial experiment, there are always chance of replication, and that also can be studied, and the final outcome may be improvised at a later point. Okay, that's all about factorial studies. That is simple randomized subject choosing and your factorial studies. I hope I quickly run, but I've touched upon the important concepts. Our faculty actually dealt this chapter in 2 minutes. So you can just go through. I went through the question papers also. There are a couple of questions that are asked about what is a factorial design, what is a factor, and then what do you mean by interaction, advantages and disadvantages of factorial design. These are the questions asked in our previous question papers. I can jot that down when you are going to compile our Excel sheet. Okay, any doubts about this?
Can you just tell me that what were the different randomization designs which we are into for the empirical studies?
Actually, even factorial design is a type of randomization design.
Yeah. Factorial design itself is a empirical study. I mean, it is used for the empirical study. But are we going to look into little deeper into that? There are again from the factorial design, we have couple of designs. I mean, assess.
That is what, madam. You can go
Yeah,
about a pre-test and a
other different types
post-test.
we have.
Yeah. You can always do a pre-test and a post-test, wherein the control group are manipulated prior
Yeah.
to the experimentation, after the experimentation. That can be done. And
Okay.
then there is something called a higher order factorial design, where you create a large matrix. See, for example, our own class, our own batch. So
Okay.
let's say we are going to do a research. They may be across different backgrounds, across different employments, different entities, But all of this, if you're going to combine and you're going to research, that automatically becomes a higher order factorial design. Well, there will
Okay.
be 200 plus students in our batch. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're going to compile everything and you're going to study, that becomes a higher order factorial
Higher
design.
order. Okay.
And then, as I already told, that is between subjects and within the subjects. That is also a design. And combination design, that is a mixed design, what is called as a mixed design. That is another type of factorial design.
Okay.
See, you just imagine an Excel sheet. You're going to combine one Excel column and several rows.
Correct.
This becomes a mixed factorial design.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. You can just go through this chapter. The questions asked are only purely theoretical. You go through these and just read through your summary. I think you'll be able to manage.
Okay. Sure.
So how many types are there, sir, for factorial design?
That's what I just told. It's 4
Provide.
types basically. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Test two. Test. Higher order factorial. Mixed.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, sir. I think you can move on to the next one.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
move on.
See, chapter 14 is actually a very interesting chapter. This will be really interesting if there is interaction. Most of these tests we would have already come across personally also. So I suggest you go through this text once. It will be really interesting. Today, what I'll do is I'll just start up with what is a psychological test, what is the concept of a scale. I think Subhamam already touched upon what is a scale. So I just touch upon what is a scale, and then I'll go to classification of test, the general classification of psychological tests, and then what constitutes a proper good psychological test, and then general steps of a test construction. These things I'll touch today, but the different tests, the actual test, that is ability test, aptitude test, all these things. If you go through, it will be really interesting. Actually, I was not supposed to handle this session, this particular chapter. One Madam Hemesty, she was supposed to handle. But anyway, we can have a good interaction that will be really good. So the basics I'll just touch in another half an hour. I'll quickly run through. So what is a psychological test? See, there are different different interpretations and different things. It's basically actually of an individual can have a variety of behaviors. Maybe differ. So an individual. Am I running?
Yeah.
So
I'll go
in between.
bit slow.
Little interruptions, like the voice goes down.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Now it's clear, sir.
So, from a psychological perspective, standardized measures for assessing your intelligence, your skill level. We may have come across common aptitude test, CAT test, your English test. We already have one test for, especially we're going for foreign country, GRE, TOEFL, type of self-esteem, your interest in music. So for all these behaviors, there are already standardized tests available. So the psychological test is basically it is a assessment of an objective. In an objective way, we have to evaluate the person, and in alignment with the already available standardized measure. See, if you're going to assess the IQ, there are standardized quotient. If you're going to quotient, already there are available tests. These are being employed in different.
Hello.
I hope you get the gist of it. Different. Yes, madam.
No, I mean, your voice is not feasible. Like it goes down.
In
Sometimes
between,
it's
it's not audible.
disconnected to.
You're not totally audible. Once you started it, no, from then on.
And it's also not clear, sir.
I think
Yeah,
Salem
the
in the Chennai
psychological test, right from
Once
start of
again,
psychological test. Not audible.
just hold on, madam. I'll just put my headphones. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Better now. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Better? Is it better now or?
It's better. It's better.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yes, madam. I'll just come again. See, in psychology, there are standardized measures and standardized tests for assessing the individual behavioral pattern. There are several tests. See, for if you're going to assess the intelligence, the attitude of a person, the self-esteem, his or her interest in music, or his or her interest in English language, his proficiency in English language, personality of a person, or how rigid the person is, or how free, how flexible the person is. All these things we have standardized tests available. That is what we are going to deal in this chapter. Okay. The different tests we'll deal tomorrow, but the basis, that is, what is the concept of a scale, what forms a good psychological test, and different tests, the general classification, and how to construct a test. All these things I'll quickly deal today. This is what I was telling previously. Okay, so with the available standardized sets, they are going to assess the individual in an objective manner to measure the behavior. This is a psychological test. So, and you can actually you can concentrate on a particular trait or a particular behavior of the person, and you can then assess that. Okay, so as given this slide, there are this definition is given in. Wait. There are two scientists who are giving two different type of definitions for a psychological test. Yeah, page number 214. So they explain what is a test, what is the meaning of a test. So it is a standardized procedure to measure quantitatively or qualitatively one or several aspects of a trait by means of a sample of a verbal or a non-verbal behavior. So the purpose is twofold. That is, first, it attempts to compare the same individual on two or more traits, two or more behaviors, and second, two or more than two persons may be compared on the same behavior. Okay, I hope you get it. So Anastasia and Urbina have defined it is an objectivized and standardized measure of a sample of a behavior. And Kaplan and Sakuso say that it is a psychological test or education test. Is a set of items designed to measure characteristics of a human beings that pertain to a particular behavior. So the psychological test, I think we have already dealt this somewhere. It is a rich source for data, data for forming the hypothesis. So during the assessment itself, you get to know variety of shades of behavior of that particular individual or several individuals, whatever. So it is a rich source for data. Okay. So, madam, you may go to the applications they have listed out in the slide. I've just listed out where and all this can be used. A psychological test can be used. No, the previous slide. 1 second for a minute. Yeah. Next one. Yeah, the bottom half, the second half actually deals with the applications where and all the psychological tests are being employed. You can just go through. Okay, now to the scale, concept of a scale. Next slide. I think Shubha madam will be better person to say what a scale is. It is actually a measurement. Scale as defined as a graded classification system. In English, it is called as a graded classification system. Madam, you can just repeat what a scale is.
Scales are nothing like, it is like, what are the different ways in which we can measure? They are like based on your quantitative and qualitative things, you are going to measure it. There is again different types of scales are available in that. As per we saw, like nominal, ordinal, intervals, and ratio. The both are one. I mean, the two. It is on two combinations. If it is quantitative, you have a two combination. If it is qualitative, then you have two combinations. Based on that, we will be defining the what kind of a percentage or what is your evaluation that is going to be there. It's a crisp thing.
Yes, ma'am.
If you wanted to go in depth also, I can do that.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean,
What
basically,
I
I
feel
just
is,
want to.
Shiva, I think it is more of numeric values, right?
Yeah, quantitative is numeric values. Qualitative is the characteristics of it.
No. The scale is normally used for numeric values, right?
Numeric values.
Yeah.
Some cases it is also used as a qualitative.
Madam,
Some
you can
cases.
just add
Not
in.
entirely quantitative, not entirely characteristics. Both are combined
Yes.
together. Yeah.
See, we may have come across some psychological tests where they say how happy you are. See, our own. I mean, in our SBI, they had this concept called how happy are you in the workplace? Whether you are
But
cheerful to
still,
come
that
into the.
wasn't that I mean, brought to a numeric scale only, grading scale only.
Not
That
necessarily.
was
It need not
brought
be.
to a grading, right?
No. See, in our case, it was brought numerically. What I'm saying is, it can be the quality can also be analyzed. That is what she's saying. Scale need not be numerical only.
Okay.
Ma'am, for example, if you want to take your attitude and then if you want to, analyze the social class, right? Then obviously your characteristics will also be involved. Whereas we are wanted to derive and we wanted to pull out the information. I mean, what is the apt numbers we are looking for? So regarding to that, the thing will get differ. For example, when you measure an attitude, then the statistics what we can use here is going to be your correlation coefficient, your regression part comes in, factor analysis will come in. So all these things will also be involved. Apart from the numerical values, we also interpret these two.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
In our own text, in page number 211, if you can just go through, they are giving a couple of examples. See, for example, in order to measure the political attitudes, uh, of a politician. They are going to survey from the common public to different politicians. This is not numerical as such, but you get to assess the political attitude of what the person delivers, what speech he delivers. This can be assessed as given in a text. And even intelligence. See, intelligence, now we have something called IQ, which is numerical. But if you go back, some time back, intelligence need not be finalized to a number.
Correct.
Uh,
Different features.
yeah. So a psychological test need not be numerical alone, but numbers help. Obviously, numbers help, but the quality can also be assessed to a large extent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So in the same page, they are going to say how they going to go about creating grade, the classification. There'll be a standard classification. Construction. Correct, ma'am. That's right. How they are going to create that standard classification scale grade. So what happens? Scale may be unidimensional, wherein the correlation of each items are determined as a result of a single dimension only. Either it may go from lowest to the largest, bad to good, or something like that. It may be unidimensional, or it may be multidimensional. So when it goes for multidimensional, it is intercorrelational. These are the macro concepts of scale, different types of scale. So accordingly, based on our purpose, they are going to construct the scale. Okay. That construction process is called scaling. The process of developing a psychological scale, which actually deals with the ways in which the various independent variables, that is items which we are going to study. No, studying part is dependent variable. The various items which we are going to manipulate are going to be combined in order to get a better measure of the outcome. That process is called scaling.
Scaling.
Yeah. So there are two principles to it. Actually, if you refer page number 213, the concept of scaling, there are actually two principles they are talking about in our text. That is item whole or item total approach to scale construction. That is, if you are going to sum up the scores of the particular individual gets, then each of the individual items should correlate with the total score of if the items are measuring the same thing as each other. Items which do not correlate with the total score are simply not measuring what the majority of the items are measuring. So they can be eliminated from the scale. This is called as the item whole or item total approach to scale construction. Okay. Whereas in a multidimensional scale, what happens? You may find several distinct group of items which may correlate well with each other, but not with some other group of items. See, since it's theoretical, you may not understand the importance of this. But when we discuss the examples, when we discuss the type of test, then it will be easy to understand. So I think I've covered the meaning of a test, scale, scaling, and the principles involved. Ma'am, you can go to the classification, macro level classification. There'll be two tables. Next slide, madam. Caroline, ma'am, you can go to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah. This is the macro classification of a test. This can be referred in page 215 and 216. Administrative condition, that is, I've just reproduced as it is in the text, I've just reproduced. Administrative condition, that is either you can do an individual test or the group test. Individual test being a particular person is tested for a particular behavior at a particular point of time. This is an individual test. In a group test, what we do is several individuals are tested for the same behavior, a single trait. This is called as a group test. See, actually, they have given constant tests. These are standardized tests. Course block design test is a standard individual test, and a Bell's adjustment. I think Bell's curve we might have in several organizations. Even all your performance evaluations in many of the organizations, they will be using this Bell's curve system. I hope I sync with what is being followed in several organizations. Bell's curve is a commonly followed thing, but it is a failure. In UK, it is a failure, but in India, we hold on in several organizations.
In UK, they follow a different one for the performance.
Shall I explain the bell curve?
No, Bell's curve will go in detail later, sir. I'm just,
no, simple way I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday ma'am showed one diagram actually.
Standard deviation.
Yes, standard deviation. That is actually, it is a kind of a bell shape. What happens is, during, for the, what they say, for the promotion and for your evaluation, for your promotion and for your salary increments, what they do is, they take a bell curve example. In that bell curve, what they do is 5% on the left, 5% on the right. That is 5%. Whoever is top performer, they'll be taken from the 5% only. For example, if 1,000 employees are there in the organization, so they will take the top 5% performers. Okay, so that is around 50 people, and bottom 50 people, that is 5%. Okay, so these 50%, that is 50 people, will be given a high probability of promotion or increments like that, and below 50 people will be likewise extreme. They will be given depromotion, or they will be given a performance improvement letter also. Okay, though this 10% will be apart from this 10%, balance 90% will be given average in sense, if they get 15% increment and this guy will not get any increment, the balance 90% of the employees will get 7 to 8% increment. Okay, so this entire 90% will be in that category. Okay, balance this 5% and 5% will be either top will be 5% and the bottom will be 5%. So that's how this bell curve works. It depends. Just I'm giving 5% as an example, but there are companies who will take 10% and balance 80% will be in the that level. So this is employed by brands like Philips, brands like Bajaj Electricals. They do this bell curve thing. I've worked with Bajaj, so that is the reason I'm saying. Hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Also, this course block test, I'll just briefly explain that. We might have come across this test. See what happens. There'll be 16 blocks of different colors, wooden blocks, different shapes and different colors. They'll be arranged in a particular pattern. You'll be asked to, then they'll be jumbled. Okay, then you'll be asked to recreate that pattern, the same blocks. The accuracy and the speed with which you are going to recreate determines your score. Basically, the test is a test to assess your perceptual motor abilities, visual, spatial, and perceptual motor abilities. This is especially useful for assessing the children who are affected with dyslexia, autism, attention deficit disorder, all these things.
Attention, perception, and learning. So they used to do the test based on the course block design.
Yes, ma'am. Prior to course block, there was Binet-Simon scale.
Yeah, by
Now, all these are examples, actually. All these are examples of a study on an individual.
individual.
Okay, let me go back to the slide. Okay, basically these are administrative conditions. Based on your requirement of the administration, you are going to either administer on an individual or a group. These are the types. Now, based on scores, okay, your standard MCQ, that is, you might have come across this test also. That is, if you choose a particular option, you will be given some 5 marks. In the test, no, you will be choosing in a different option, you will be given 4 marks, something like that. And then you are going to compile all the answers and arrive at the score of the person. The example given in the text is multiple choices, true or false, matching items, all these things. These are objective test. And subjective test, where based on the creative pattern, no, based on the expressing ability of the person, the particular individual will be assessed. That is a subjective test. Okay, these are the two types of tests, scoring, which pertains to scoring patterns. Then the test exists wherein there will be a definite time limit, and the individuals will be tested. All your CAT exam, no, CAT exam, and then our recent NEET exam, all these things come under your subject to other speed test. You'll be given some 90 minutes or 2 hours, and you'll be given lots of questions of differing. I mean, there'll be a difference in the toughness, difficulty in of the questions. So you'll be asked to attend, how fast you attend, how quick you respond correctly. That forms your score. And then there is a power test. Power test, actually, there is no time limit as such. Only the questions will be really, really difficult, and you are supposed to just answer it, or else try to answer it. Power tests are rare in India, actually. I've attended a couple of power tests online, but power tests are rare in India. This is with respect to timeline in getting the response of the individual. Next slide, madam. Then comes the nature or the contents of the items on the test. There are 3 types, that is verbal, non-verbal, and your performance test. So obviously verbal, all your what do you call it, group discussion. There will be something called group discussion in our recruitment patterns, no? That is an example of a verbal test. Or you will be giving extempore. You will be given a subject and you are supposed to speak. That is a verbal test. And then non-verbal test wherein you'll be given a logo. I've actually attended one sample of this test. You'll be given a logo, a company's logo, and you are supposed to communicate the audience as to which company we are speaking about. That is a non-verbal test. You can either go decipher the logo, or you can actually express the goodness of the company, what products they are dealing, all these things. That is a non-verbal test. There are many types to it. Pictures, figures, and then actions, and then somebody actually, there is a thing wherein 2 or 3 individuals combine and do it. That is a non-verbal test. And then performance test. Performance test, there are many things. There are many apps also. You are supposed to do a particular task assigned to you. Of course, there will be a time or some parameters, and you are supposed to do that. That is your performance test. And objective test, purpose or objective test. All the common tests which we use in our psychological analysis, or the personality test, aptitude test, everything can be categorized under your purpose or objective tests. Okay, ma'am, this we'll cover tomorrow. Just go to the next slides. Next one. Next. Yeah. No, the previous one. No, the previous one. 2 slides prior to this. Yes. So what are the cat? I mean, I hope the classification of a test was clear. Once you go through, it will be really, it will be clear, I hope. Now, characteristics of a good psychological test. Objectivity. Obviously, see what happens when there is a subjectivity component to it. The interpretation may differ. The outcomes may be I may arrive at a conclusion in a different way. Shubha ma'am, she may interpret it in a different way. So when the component of subjectivity comes, it is not an universal test. It is not a good test. So obviously, this is why numbers are important. Chitra ma'am was speaking about it. This is why you attach a score to it, you objectivize it, and then you perform the test so that it may be uniform. The results may be uniform. So objectivity is very important for a good psychological test. And then reliability. That is, it should be at any point of time. It should be the correlation should be there. It must be to the extent to which the scores obtained in the test are free from any defects in the standardization. Because once there are defects in the standardization itself, it creates errors. So it should be free from such errors. So the reliability is of paramount importance. And then validity. Validity we are going to speak in our chapter 16. It will be dealt in depth. So validity is basically the extent to which it measures what we actually intend to measure. It does not deviate from the purpose. So that is very important in a psychological test. And then norms. It refers to the average performance of a representative sample on a given test. I think Madam has already was covering this. There are 4 types of norms, obviously. There is age norms, grade norms, percentile norms, standard score norms. So these basic norms are important. And then the practicability. The applicability is also important. How far it is practicable to implement the result scores of the test. That is very important. These are the characteristics of a good psychological test. And then we'll go about the general steps for a test construction. Madam, next slide. Yeah. So the planning of the test, you can just go through planning of the test, writing items of the test, the preliminary administration, reliability, validity, preparation of norms, and preparation of manual reproduction. I'll just quickly give a gist of each items. The first step in the construction is called careful planning. Actually, your intended purpose for the research. You have to plan the test in a way that the answers we obtain from the responses we obtain from the individual should be clear. Also, the test should be planned in a way that the instructions, the method of sampling, everything is clear. Only then the test will serve the purpose. So planning is crucial. Next comes the writing items of the test. That is, it again comes in sync with your planning. See, for example, if the researcher, if the person who conducts the test decides to conduct an objective test, he or she needs to write down the objectives and the possible alternatives which the individual may come up. Responses may come up. So all these things should be included in your test itself. It should be more or less comprehensive. Comprehensive kind of test should be prepared. And the person who conducts the research should prepare it in a way that the test itself provides a rich source of data. Only then you can actually achieve your purpose, and in future build upon this test also. So the writing items of the test, the particular test, is very important. So it forms a rich source of data at a later point of time. And preliminary administration, that is the exponential tryout. That is the test which you are going to give to an individual. Already it should be it should trial. It should be tried out previously. How will I put it? See, generally speaking, any psychological test, they'll be actually trying out minimum three times. Any test, they'll be trying to administer the test in three different occasions, and then only they'll try to standardize. So it should be tried out already. It should be ideal for an experimental purpose. That way, we have to refine the test. That is important.
Can I say a word?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tryout is something which is already existed. So it has been defined already. It has existed already. So those kind of a test we are going to take it, and this time we are going to prepare it everything. So it is like all the anything. It might be on any management studies or an experimental studies. We are referring something from the already existing thing. So from there, we are putting it, that is nothing but your tryout. Already existing scenarios will be there. You are trying to adapt the same thing, and you are giving it in a different perspective. That is your tryout.
Yes, ma'am. So that is about the preliminary administration or the experimental tryout of the test. And then reliability. I have already told about the reliability. This will also be again dealt with in our chapter 16. Reliability, that is the samples which you are going to test, the persons whom you are going to test, they should not be, how do I put it? Okay, in bluntly I put it, they should not be knowing the answers. The question paper should not be leaked. I hope I'm clear. They should be fresh samples who are going to attend the test based on the questions asked at that particular instant only. They should not be, their mind should not be preoccupied with some answers already. The test should be framed in such a way. So reliability is of paramount importance. Only then your outcome, your studies will be proper. And then validity.
Sorry, one moment. Sorry for the interruption. Preliminary administration or experimental tryout. Yeah, I think it is. What did Shiva say? Because I just want to get clarified. Preliminary administration is you are trying it to a small group of people and then bringing it out, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
It can be a small group or from the large pool. It depends on the scenario.
Fine.
Only thing is, it is already been defined, right? Defined by someone else. So we are taking a reference, and then we are going to study it again. That is why he said it's going to be tryout for a different scenarios. And once we study it, we will find out the result where we are providing a different suggestion and different opinions about it. This is applicable for all the studies. I'm not talking.
Yeah. Before bringing it out to the exposing it to the public, I mean to the group that you are supposed to.
Correct.
You're trying it out, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I'll continue. So the reliability, actually, the samples actually matter. They should not be preoccupied. And if you want me to explain reliability in simple words, it is consistency of the scores. Consistency of the scores of the individual on different occasions with different sets of questions. I think you can relate to it. In some of our psychological tests, the same type of questions will be asked in different wordings. suppose there are 20 questions, the first question will be repeated in item number 16 in different wordings. It is basically to bring out the behavior of that particular person. That is called reliability. I hope you get the gist of it. Again, reliability will be dealt in chapter 16. We'll be dealing in. There are 4 types of reliability. That is your methods of establishing reliability: test, retest, um, parallel forms of reliability, internal consistency reliability, and inter-rater reliability, split half reliability. 5 types. Sorry, five types of reliability test. This will be dealing in depth in chapter 16. But the crux is this: the consistency of the response of the person should be ensured. Okay, this is about reliability of the test. And validity, I've already told. That is your the extent to which the test actually measures what it intends to measure. That is the validity of the purpose of the test should be it should be maintained, and how well it does it. That is the validity of the test. And then preparation of norms, keeping in view the purpose and type of the test. It is something like a terms and conditions. The researcher, the person who creates a test, should actually create a certain set of norms. The preliminary considerations in developing norms should be communicated properly. It must be clear. So that is also very much important, when you're going to construct a test. And finally, your preparation of manual and reproduction of the test. Actually, this is where the properties of the test, norms, the previous references, all these things are going to be analyzed. After seeing the importance of the test, the requirements, the purpose of the test, the researcher can actually publish papers, publish final outcomes. So these are the steps of test construction. I hope I'm clear here. This is an often repeated question. The general steps of test construction is an often repeated 5-mark question in our papers. Okay, I'll stop at this. It's already 8:40. I'll stop at this. The remaining, I think this chapter we have to deal with the different types of tests. That is aptitude test, ability test. There are 4 types of tests, and then measures of attitude. This will deal with tomorrow, and then I'll go to the factor analysis. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anbu. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Tomorrow we'll continue.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you.